can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
This is Snowman in the Morning, and it begins now.
What?
Circus, Afro circus, Afro circus, Afro polka dot, Afro.
I've never been so humiliated in all my life.
Next! Did you not get the memo? What?
Oh, yeah. The best morning sports talk show that you will ever hear is live. Oh, I didn't do it right. I should have said this. Good morning and welcome to the Monday edition of Snowman in the Morning, fast-paced hour of sports talk for you. The Man-Power Moment with Smitty is coming at 8:35. I had a 2-hour episode scheduled, but unfortunately, a couple of the guests that I had scheduled to come on had to change their day to later in the week, so that's fine. The Monday Pro Pick will come at 8:45 with Robert Provera and Pro Picks. And speaking of which, Snowman in the Morning is presented by Pro Picks. Visit them online now at ProPicksNow.com. Like betting on games, especially when gambling is legalized? Well, you can do so through ProPicksNow.com. And if you sign up for their main affiliate, MyBookie, they will match your deposit up to 1.5 times. They'll match your deposit up to 50% of whatever you put in. So if you put in $100, they'll give you an extra 50 to play with. Visit them online at ProPicksNow.com. On this fast-paced hour, is this the end for Clayton Kershaw? Why the Sacramento Kings are becoming the Warriors yet again? I'll explain that. Is there a baseball Philly special? Chris Paul, you just need to shut up. And as I mentioned, the Pro Pick of the day and my Snowman's take involving Space Jam 2. Yes, there is a Space Jam 2. And I don't like it because of who's in it. We'll talk about that later. Now, I want to ask a question because I love baseball. My beloved Dr. K does not. So she's probably not going to hear this because it leads with baseball. But I love baseball. Now, I will admit I love calling baseball more than I love watching it on the air and there are so many reasons to that. But a piece of news came down the wire, and it involves 4-time Cy Young Award winner Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw has been shut down for arm trouble, inflammation, as I have been told, and shut down until further notice. Strange, but true. And the question is simple for me, and I hope it's simple for y'all. Is this the end of the 4-time Cy Young Award winner, Clayton Kershaw? Is this the finish to what has been, to this point, a magnificent career? And it's magnificent to a point. It's magnificent to a point. Does he have electric stuff? Yes. Does he strike out a lot of batters? Yes. Does he pile up the wins during the regular season? Yes. But lately, Mr. Kershaw, and I'm going to say this with conviction, and I'm going to say this because I've seen it. When it comes to Clayton Kershaw, he doesn't get the job done when it matters. He hasn't. I mean, they were in the World Series the last 2 years. And Kershaw disappeared. 2016, they were in the National League Championship Series against the Chicago Cubs. Where was Clayton Kershaw? Where was the ace of the Dodgers staff? Where was the left arm that they needed? Non-existent. Sorry, sports judge. Let's say this honestly. Non-existent. When it's time to really put the cleats on, and we're talking about down the stretch and the playoffs, have you seen Clayton Kershaw? Have you seen the dominant left-hander that you saw during the regular season in the last 3 seasons? No, you haven't. Somehow, some way, they always find a way to get to him. It's happened. As a matter of fact, you can go back to 2015 when the Dodgers played the New York Mets in the division series. When the Dodgers played the New York Mets in the division series, Game 5 at Chavez Ravine, Kershaw got the start. He was good for 6 innings. And then the cage fell. And then then the wheels fell off. I'll just use that analogy. Then the doors fall off. You can make an argument that Kershaw, the last 4 years, even the years he's won the Cy Young, has been a great regular season pitcher. But when it comes to the postseason, he's nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. And I'm waiting on an article from my homies at The Inscriber magazine to come up about one Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw used to be intimidating, and his curve was absolutely nasty. I mean, you see that thing coming at 11 o'clock, and it lands squarely at 4:30 in the catcher's mitt, and the umpire's ringing you up for a strikeout. But it's not there. He's no longer a big game pitcher. And recently he signed, I want to get this right because I know my producer, the big dog Shane Lake, has his ears on. A 4-year, I want to get this right, Shane, a 4-year, $93 million contract extension. And I'm going to tell you, it ain't worth it, Los Angeles. You're going to invest $93 million in a gentleman and a pitcher that has not been there for you since 2015 in the postseason. The last 4 years, the Dodgers have been in the postseason. Clayton Kershaw has disappeared. Do you really want to invest that kind of money in a pitcher that's no longer dominant, and in a pitcher the last 4 years has not even reached 200 innings because of some form of injury? And I will tell you what I think about this. I think this is going to lead to Tommy John surgery, number one. And number two, this is going to lead to the end of a career for Kershaw. I think this is it. There's so much mileage on that arm. And as I mentioned, and I'm trying to get a confirmation, there's no more edge with Kershaw. No more edge at all. And here's another point. I forgot to give you all the call-in number because I know people want to weigh in on this. The call-in number you need is 888-491-5382. 888-491-5382. Find us online at SIT Morning for Facebook and Twitter and Snowman in the Morning for Instagram. Talking Clayton Kershaw to open the show here. What happened to the edge of Clayton Kershaw? What do y'all think was the one game that, kind of turned his career down? That kind of sent it spiraling downwards. Because he's not the same anymore. He hasn't been the same for at least 4 years. As a matter of fact, in the last 5 years, Kershaw has only pitched 200-plus innings once. And that was 2015 when he had 232 innings. One time in the last 5 years has Clayton Kershaw pitched 200-plus innings. And the Dodgers have depended on him to be the ace of that staff when it counts. And that's in October. And for some crazy reason, he has not been that one. The Dodgers need to find a different pitcher to be their ace, period. Because Clayton Kershaw is not him. Clayton Kershaw is not that pitcher. Want to call in and weigh in with your thoughts? Number is 888-492-5381. That's 888-492-5381. And people are starting to call in right now. I think I'm going to make this the main subject before I get Smitty on because there's some rumblings about Bryce Harper and where he's going to go. I think I'm going to leave that for tomorrow. Because as I'm mentioning the Dodgers, I'm getting a note right now that Bryce Harper is in play for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's go to New Jersey. I got Lewis on the line. What up, Lou?
Good morning, Snowman. Well, just when you thought it was all over with Harper and seeing where they're going to go, now the Dodgers have re-interest, well, at least in the short term for them.
In the very short term. I'm talking Clayton Kershaw to open the show here, and let me get your thoughts on Kershaw. And as I mentioned, he's only pitched 200-plus innings once in the last 5 years. Once. Why do you think? What has happened to Clayton? What do you think has happened to Clayton Kershaw?
Well, number one, he's been injured, of course, in recent years, and I think it's how he's lost a step. So I think it's only been normal that he has not pitched in so many innings throughout the entire season. So that is a big factor. He's had shoulder problems. He's had inflammation in his shoulder again. This season, so he's a little bit slowing up in spring training. So this could be a sign of things to come.
Do you think this leads to the end of Kershaw?
Let's see, how old is Kershaw now?
I believe he's 30.
30? No, I don't think so. I think he's still got a good 5-6 years left in him. 30s, okay, he's not as young as he used to be, but I still think he's got something left in him. He's just got to take care of his shoulder issues. But I think once that can happen, I think maybe he can be ready to go. So I wouldn't write him off just yet.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think it's something psychological with Kershaw the last 4 years?
Ooh, well, that's another case altogether. That's kind of hard to prove, though. I would say no. I don't think there's anything, psychologically wrong with him. Just having some bad breaks.
Louis Sonora joining me here this morning. Tell everybody where they can find you online, buddy.
All right. Well, first of all, if you wish to reach me by email, you can reach me at loutenor45 at capitalgmail.com. Please capitalize the G, otherwise access won't get through. And I have a show on Saturday nights, 5 to 7 your time, called the Enhanced Sports Show. We handle almost everything in the world of sports, from the sublime to the ridiculous. The number to... Well, it's true. I could have said that in the ugly, too.
Right.
The number to reach is 712-775-7035. The PIN number, 410173, and then press the pound sign below the number 9 on your telephone. It's important you press the pound sign because if you don't, you're not going to be able to get in whatsoever. So please don't forget that.
Talking Clayton Kershaw with Louis Sonora as we open the show today. Thanks for calling in, my man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let me give you a few more notes on Clayton Kershaw. He hasn't won 20 in 4 years. His ERA has been under 2 once in 4 years. And as far as the playoffs go, here's one of the points I wanted to drive home. 4-7 with a 2.36 ERA. 4-7 in the playoffs, and this is since 2015, with a 2.36 ERA. I'll ask the question again. It's 4.55 ERA. 4-7 with a 4.55 ERA in his last 11 appearances in the playoffs. Let me ask a question, Los Angeles. Do you really want to invest that kind of money in a pitcher that hasn't been all of that? You really want to do that? Are you going to invest? And I'm not saying, don't give up on him either, but you got to look at the facts. You got to look at what's going on. Since 2015, he's only eaten 200 innings once, and that was 2015. Only once since 2015. Only once. In the regular season, he's 144-67 with a 2.36 ERA. 144 wins in the regular season. 4-7 with a 4.55 ERA in the postseason, and that's part of the reason for the Dodgers' demise in the postseason. That is part of the reason for the Dodgers' demise in the postseason. You can say whatever you want about him being one of the best in the game, and during the regular season he is one of the best in the game. Let's not mince words. Let's not get it twisted. He is indeed one of the best in the regular season on the mound. It's during the postseason where you have to worry. It's during the postseason where he has to step up. It's during the postseason where a 4.55 ERA from who is supposedly your ace won't cut it at all. It just won't. It just will not cut it. And here's a few other things that you have to think of. And as I said and mentioned a few moments ago, my homies at The Inscriber Magazine, a shout to them and to the man in charge, Mr. Robert Cobb. They were the first to get, after the news broke, they were the first to get an article up on this. Dave Roberts calling this an arm type of thing. From 2010 to 2015, Kershaw averaged 222 innings during those years. 222. Since 2015, his innings has gone down. In 2016, he's only pitched 149. 2017, 175, and last year, 161. And he didn't go to free agency. He signed a 3-year, I got it wrong, 3-year, $93 million extension. And now he's on the shelf again. Kershaw needs to have a great season this year, or I think they move him. They should start, if he starts off hot, okay? If he starts off hot, and he's only had over 30 starts once in 5 years. If that doesn't indicate a decline, what does? Now, yes, he signed an extension, but if you're the Dodgers and you see the writing on the wall, have him start hot, and then when the trade deadline hits on July 31st, move him. Move him to a contender. Let him get his competitive juices flowing again. And hopefully he can stay healthy for them. But a lot will be determined when they have an MRI and see what's going on with him. A lot will be determined then. Take a pause for a break, and when we come back, I know I had a Snowman's Take scheduled concerning Space Jam 2, but I think I'm going to hold that until tomorrow. Snowman in the Morning brought to you in part by ProPicks. Visit them online at ProPicksNow.com. Register with MyBookie, an affiliate of ProPicks, and they'll match your deposit up to 50%. If you drop $100, they'll give you an extra $50. ProPicksNow.com. The Pro Pick of the Day coming in 20 minutes. I'll have Antoine Smitty Smith and the Manpowerment Movement as we shift some things around here. I'll have Antoine after the break.
Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Next! What? Are you kidding me? Need a little excitement?
You know what is?
I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
The Monday edition of Snowman in the Morning rolls on, presented by Pro Picks. We got the Pro Pick of the day coming at 45 beyond the hour, and still may have time to slip in a snowman stick on this fast-packed hour. You know, I began the show talking Clayton Kershaw. Let me throw a few notes out there before I have Antoine Smith come on the line. He's pitched only 200 innings once in 5 years. He hasn't hit 20 wins in 4 years. ERA under 2 once in 4 years. I mentioned his playoff resume, if you want to call it that. 4-7 in the playoffs with a 4.55 ERA. During the regular season, he's great. 144-67 to 2.36 ERA. He's only had 30 starts once in 5 years. In 4 years, he's given up double-digit homers 3 times. 4 years, double-digit homers 3 times. Okay? In 2015, he had 301 strikeouts. 301. Since then, he's only had 200 strikeouts once. Only once. 2015, he had 4 complete games. 2016, he had 3. 2 years ago, he only had 1, and last year did not complete a game. I hate to say it, Los Angeles, but I'll put it in the form of a question. And you want to call this guy your ace? And you want to call this guy your ace. Why? Not cool. Not cool, Los Angeles, especially if you're looking for a good starter. He needs to start hot, and then y'all need to move him. Get him to a contender. Maybe he'll find his competitive juices again. Oh, and here's this for you. He hadn't had a shutout since 2016. How about that? Kershaw is definitely on the decline. Time for our man-powerment conversation as we come to you 29 after the hour. And I got my man Smitty from Smitty Sports Machine on the line with me. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Snowman?
What's our subject this morning?
I wanted to talk about, protecting our kids, man.
All right. I'm with that.
It's becoming a must these days. We're losing too many kids to street violence, sex trafficking, and, just otherworldly things that I'd rather not talk about. But
understood.
Protecting your kids is a must these days. For this world to evolve, as we talk all the time about homelessness, hate crime, and, you protect your kids, it's the best way to change the world.
It is.
And if we don't do that, the world will only get worse.
Much worse, especially now with the kids that are coming up and the way that they're acting. You've seen it, I've seen it, especially being in big cities.
Right.
What scares me the most is that this is a trend that will not change for the positive unless the parents get involved. Let me be more succinct. Unless the fathers are allowed to get involved.
Right.
There's your curveball.
Right. And, it's partly the government fault also because when we were coming up, we would get a whooping for anything.
Yes.
Belt, anything.
Yeah.
So, when they put into law that you can't whoop your kids in public,
it took a lot of discipline out and allowed the government to discipline the kids.
Right. And, we even got disciplined in school by our school teachers.
Mm-hmm.
We were young, but now there's none of that in school. There's no prayer in school, which is the most stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
So when you change logical things like that about life, it'll only make life tough for anybody, man, woman, or child. So until they get back on track of, putting things where they're supposed to be, the world is only going to get worse.
So why do you think besides the government being involved, and we've spoke about that just a moment ago, besides that, what do you think flipped the switch the wrong way to the times that we're in now?
I would just have to say, that's a good question. I would have to say, besides the government, which flipped the switch, it was probably, cases with child abuse that, started at home. And, molestation cases from home, incest and things like that, which I can understand them changing. But when a parent, disciplines their child, they're doing it for a reason.
Yeah.
And if you take that away from them, and the world has to teach them a hard lesson, you can see the results with kids just throwing their lives away at age 14, 15 because of armed robbery and murder and things like that.
And the lesson from the world is going to be worse than the lesson they can get from home from the parents.
Right. And that was, the parents' reason for disciplining their child to, prevent them from doing that in the real world. So, the government, I guess they won, in certain facets, but in a lot of cases, parents lost. And that's what people fail to see.
Let me throw a question out there that a lot of people want to ask publicly, and very few people do ask publicly.
Right.
The question is this. Does the government's systematic removal of the father from the home have a significant factor to do with this, in your opinion?
I can't say that 100%. It has to do with, in some facets because, some fathers, are just absent anyway.
True.
Give
you that.
If the fathers that, and, it's not on the fathers either, it's some mothers out there.
This is true.
That prevent kids' fathers from doing the job.
Yeah.
But in facets, men can help or hurt their situation, and that's the best way I can put that.
Okay.
If they're going to do the right thing, they're going to do the right thing regardless.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it does make the government job, a little bit easier with disciplining our kids. And like I said, that's the tough lesson to learn.
The last time I had you on, we touched on the subject of homelessness. How it affects men, how men's homelessness affects the world, and not just in this country, but the world. You got to throw this in there, too. Homeless children affect this side of the world also in a big way. Agreed.
And it ties into what I was saying, about, the robbery and crime, and as well as I do, and it's in the Bible, it's survival of the fittest.
Yes.
And when you adapt to your environment in a certain way that you only know how to survive, that's where, gun violence, jail, that's when all that comes into play. So, yes, kids when homeless, it plays a role also.
It really, really does. That's our man-powerment conversation for this Monday. You can catch Smitty on with me every Monday as we bring the man-powerment back into society and bring the man-powerment back into focus. You want to follow more? Go to snowmaninthemorning.com and look up the Man-Powerment Movement. That page will be live today, and that's where you'll find our conversations. Man, such a pleasure to have you on. I thank you very much.
Always, man. Anytime.
Smitty Sports Machine. Find him on the internet, a great sports talk host as well. Always joins me, as I mentioned, every Monday. And think about this also before I go to one more break, and then I'll have Pro Picks on for our pick of the day, and then we'll wrap things up. Think about this also. He mentioned homeless children and how that affects the world. Because if he learns the ways, if a child learns the ways of the world first, then your wild card is right there. They're either going to turn out decent or they're going to turn out troubled. Because they didn't have the structure of a home. They didn't have the structure of a home, and that's scary. I've seen it so many times in Chicago. I've seen it so many times here. And the scariest part of all, the number's growing. That is scary to me. The number is growing. And we got to stop this as soon as possible. Or find a way to stop this as soon as possible. One more break, and then I'll have Mr. Pro Pick on for the game of the day. And you got to wonder which way he's going to go with this one. Snowman in the morning, back in a flash.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Hello, baby.
We roll on this Monday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Got the pro pick of the day coming in 120 seconds, and tomorrow I'll give my I'll do my Snowman's take on oh God help me, Space Jam 2. Yes, there is a release date for it. Why? Just plain why? I don't get it. Oh, this will pick you up. When you hear something like that, when you break out an old school theme, it can only mean one thing. 3 days a week, you'll get the pro pick of the day. And Mr. Pro Pick's on the line with me. Good morning.
Morning, Brian. How are we doing today on this Monday?
I'm doing well. How about you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm feeling great. It was a good weekend. How about you? How was your weekend, Brian?
Oh, great weekend. Great weekend. I played a joke on this, man, during the weekend, and I jokingly gave my pick of the day being Duke and Syracuse, knowing better not to touch that game with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, word did reach out to me that you were doing that. Yeah.
All right, time for a Monday Pro Pick brought to you by Pro Picks. Visit them online at ProPicksNow.com. What you got for me?
Okay, Brian, I'm going to touch on Oklahoma Sooners and 19th ranked Iowa State Cyclones today. The Hilton
there you
Coliseum.
go. We're going Big 12.
Well, hey, listen, if you thought I was going to jump into Kansas State, not so fast.
Oh, no. No.
Allen Fieldhouse.
I wouldn't touch that one.
Oh, don't. Okay, Brian, I'm going to stop you right there. We have covered that game, and we do have that for our for anybody that logs on at www.propicksnow.com.
Right.
We certainly that's on the menu today. So
okay,
we covered that game. We got that game. We picked the winner. It's already in the basket.
Yep.
Absolutely. But the game we really like that we're going to cover this morning for all your listeners, just like I had mentioned, is being played Hilton Coliseum, Iowa. Iowa State Cyclones, 19th ranked Oklahoma Sooners. These two teams, Brian, they did meet. They met earlier on the year, if you recall.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually it was in the beginning of the month of February.
Yes.
It was a close one. If it wasn't for Mario Shack's late three,
mm-hmm.
We would be having a different conversation.
Yeah.
Certainly, Iowa State got the better of that, but it was a close game. So this game comes in. It's coming in as Iowa State favorite, of course, at home, but they're favorite depending on what sports book you use. It's very important. I always touch on that.
Yeah.
Iowa State's favored by 9.5 over
mm-hmm.
Oklahoma. And that's an awful lot of points, Brian. You look at this Iowa State team, they're 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games.
Right.
All right. So, you flip the coin, you take a look at what's going on with Oklahoma. Now, I know there's a little bit of inconsistency
mm-hmm.
throughout the start of the year with them. They've been jumping around in the top 25, and then they're out of the top 25, in the preseason rankings. So you don't really know what to make. Now, don't get me wrong, Oklahoma's going to be there come tournament time.
Yes.
A lot of that's because some of their wins and they're, of course, they're impressive wins, but more so because of their record.
Mm-hmm.
But talking about record, Brian, they're 6-1 and 2 against the spread in their last 9 on the road, Brian.
Wow.
That's on the road that I'm talking about.
Wow.
So when you're talking about 9.5 points, it's a very important game for both. I'm not saying, Brian, Iowa State's not going to win this game at home. They most certainly should. They're probably a good pick on the money line. Of course, there's not great value there.
Mm-hmm.
But, Brian, 9.5, 9.5, once again, depending what sports book you get. Oklahoma Sooners, +9, nothing short today of a pro pick.
I'll go with it. I'll take the points, and I'll take OU. OU coming in 17-10 on the year. Iowa State 19-8. Don't let the records fool you, folks. Iowa State.
Brian, talking about records. What an awesome weekend.
Yeah.
Pro picks here. Keep pro picks after this weekend in college hoop action. We improved to 42-16 documented in college hoop action. Certainly hitting Michigan State was the pro pick of the day for anybody that logged on and purchased the pick. Yeah, so that we had them winning outright with the money line, even with their injuries, and they haven't had success going into Michigan. But certainly Tom Izzo had his troops ready, had the Spartans ready, and they pulled it out. So that was nothing short of a pro pick. That's why it's important to log on to www.propicks now and get your picks, man. Low cost, $19.99 for a single pick. You're not sure where to put that pick, Brian, as you know, and you tell all your listeners all the time. We're affiliates with some really good ones out there, including my bookie. So, yeah, I'm happy to cover this Iowa State-Oklahoma game, Brian, and it's going to be a good one. It most certainly will be.
8 p.m. tip-off at the Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. The Oklahoma Sooners and the 19th-ranked Iowa State Cyclones. Cyclones looking for number 20 on the year. OU trying to get back into the Big 12 race. Can anyone in the Big 12 challenge Kansas and their dominance of the Big 12 Conference? Well, this is the time, the stretch run, that we find out. Your pro pick on this Monday is Oklahoma and Iowa State. Iowa State favored by 9, and we both agree, take Oklahoma and take the points on this road game for the Sooners. Mr. Pro Pick, I thank you very much, my friend. Appreciate it.
Brian, you have a great Monday, and we'll talk again soon.
Iowa State and Oklahoma from Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. Take the points and take the Sooners and the points. Will the Sooners win? We don't know. Make your pick at ProPicksNow.com. Some great affiliates, including my bookie. If you drop 100, they'll give you 50, so you have a little bit extra to play with and know where to place your bets. Please gamble responsibly, and please be 21 and over when you make your pick. One more break, and then I have a special word for you after this.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Hello, baby.
Oh, man, had some fun today, but we're going to have to cut this one short because, I got a doctor's appointment coming up pretty soon and a few other appointments to do, but I'll be back with a full show tomorrow, and I will indeed offer my thoughts on Space Jam 2. But that is tomorrow. Today, let me leave you with a positive word. Even though this is not a full show like I had planned, because I originally had Mike Debate scheduled to come on, but unfortunately his schedule took a turn. So I'm going to have him on tomorrow. Even with that, as I was driving here today to get on the air and talk to you guys, I did have a full show lined up. Like I said, had to move some guests around to later in the week. But it's the fact that I got here and put a show on for you guys. Because inconsistency, and I'll say it 100 times over, and I will keep saying it because it's the truth. Inconsistency nearly killed the show. Scheduled to come on 7 a.m. Central Time here, and, you know, there were days I would just say, screw it, I didn't want to come on. But what good did that do? What good did that do? It didn't do a lick of good, and it didn't make a lick of sense. You know, one of my buddies, Ricardo Sanchez, said, you got to build the audience. You may have been on 5 years, but who's really listening? And he's right. He's absolutely right. I had a foundation. It was good. It was a good foundation, but I tore it down. Now it's time to get it built back up. And thanks to the folks at ProPix that believe in me and are sponsoring the show, I will get better at this. I will absolutely get better at this. Repetition is the father of skill. And there are a few skills I'm developing talking to you guys every morning. And I love that. I absolutely love that. Whoever wants to get into this business, remember consistency is your main weapon. My producer, the big dog, Shane Lake, doing great work as always. He stuck with me for the years that I've known him. And he would get at me. He would say, hey, you got to put a show on. Yeah, I know. And I would always make excuses. I'm admitting this aloud. I would always make excuses. Well, no more excuses. No more excuses. When that clock says 8 a.m., I have this microphone in front of me, and I'm on the air talking sports. Period. Consistency nearly killed the show, but a new dedication to the show and the consistency within will build it back up. I know my producer's going to put a great show together every day this week. As a matter of fact, Shane's officially in charge of helping me fill 2 hours with great topics. And he's going to help me do the research on it. And I know he's listening, and I know that's it's what he wanted. So, Shane, the role's yours. Let's kick ass. And I got to get out of here. I will talk to y'all tomorrow, 8 a.m. sharp. Find us on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and everywhere else, including Google Podcasts, including Spotify, is where you'll find the replay every day of Snowman in the Morning. Jump online to snowmaninthemorning.com/podcast to check out our podcast replay. And on that note, I'm out of here. Have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. I'm doing that, and I hope you all are too. Snowman in the Morning presented by ProPix. Visit them online at propixnow.com. Please make sure you're 21 and over, and please gamble responsibly. I'll talk to you all tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Until then, Snowman out.